paranormal community, thank you for partaking here in the Honesty Files. I am your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. David Sarver. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening, paranormal community. Hope everybody's good. We were on a little hiatus there again, unexpectedly.
It was an unexpected one. I think I had to move the StreamYard promotion for the show like 3 different times. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this ain't happening tonight. Let's try tomorrow night. Nope, that ain't happening.
That ain't working.
We'll go to next week. Nope, that ain't working.
That ain't working. Just keep changing the date. It's a great looking ad. Plug in the show, man. Just keep going in and change the date. We're gonna get it down eventually.
Yes, indeed. And tonight's the night. So
Yes.
We have had a while to do research on our topic for tonight, which is Area 51. I definitely learned a lot of stuff that I did not know before, which I guess is what research is for.
That's right. I'm looking forward to that because I'm going to let you run with your Area 51s and then add in so we don't duplicate. And then Area 52, which is kind of what they think the real Area 51 is, that the Area 51 is just a smokescreen and Area 52 is the real Area 51. And then we're going to get into that conversation. Plus, I got some really good, fascinating facts about that whole segue.
Segue. There is segue. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby.
We're not even rusty. Right off the bat.
Right out of the bat.
But apparently, you're going to be running by yourself on that Area 52 because I'd never even heard of that before.
That's okay. I got some fascinating stuff on Area. You'll jump right in. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no, neither am I. So before we get into tonight's stories, which we have some really, really good ones. So I would like your opinion on the now normally you know me, I don't care about any of this crap, but it deals with my paranormal mortal enemy, and so I wanted your take, if you know anything about it, on the whole Destination Fear getting canceled and Bagans being like accused of being the reason for it, and now there's the claims of fraudulent evidence have come up, and now Nick Groff is doing videos about it, or at least a video saying that if he doesn't say something, he's guilty of being complicit. You don't know anything about it, do you?
No. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. Well, I just summed it up. Like you really don't even need. No, that's all right.
Well, it's my sister, as you know, it's my sister's favorite show, so she's really gonna lose her mind. Like, she doesn't like paranormal TV, but she really likes the people in Destination Fear.
Well, she shouldn't. But that's okay.
Well, she does. I know, but that's her deal. So like, I can't even talk when that's on. Like, if I talk, like if I give I got to put my paranormal investigator in the box and then send the box to like Nome, Alaska when Destination Fear is on, because I can't say anything anywhere near pertaining to. If I say anything, I get the look of death. Like, she looks at me like, this is my favorite show, right? Okay.
Well, yes. It is official that Destination Fear has been canceled.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. And
okay, so run that by me again. So it's canceled because they said that they think that that it was a bunch of fake evidence.
No.
Oh.
So it kind of followed a pretty much like a drama high school storyline. Is basically. So rumors came out that Destination Fear either was canceled or was getting canceled. So apparently they went on this huge save Destination Fear campaign.
Okay.
According to Lauren, they even started this YouTube channel where they do weird shit on a golf course. No idea.
Okay.
I don't care. I've never watched it and don't want to. But that's what I was told. Well, anyway, so they went on a huge like merch campaign. They tried to get signatures, save Destination Fear. The whole thing that everybody does on Netflix whenever they cancel their favorite shows.
Right.
So during the course of that rumor, and I'm only going to call it rumor because I don't know if it's true or not.
This could be a marketing ploy, right?
Well,
But
Mark,
be like, hey, what did you think of our,
I don't know, but then word started getting out that because like Portals to Hell got canceled too.
Wow.
So like a couple of the big shows have been canceled. Or by obviously Discovery, or Travel Channel, whichever you want to,
Right.
whoever their main thing is. But
They didn't cancel Amy and Adam, though, huh?
unfortunately, not.
I was going to say, if they're going to cancel any one of those three, that should be the one to go.
I agree. Well,
personal opinion.
But... Right. I just think that they should switch out Jack with Heather Taddy.
That would be phenomenal show.
And then
Katrina and Heather.
Well, Katrina and Heather, and then add in
watch that all damn night.
Michelle Belanger.
Oh, she's phenomenal. Love
Michelle. Well, actually, Heather and Katrina. Not to get off topic, which we always do.
Yeah, we always do.
They actually
we'll come back around. Don't worry.
They actually do have their own show together.
Okay.
But they're doing it, and I believe you can only find it on YouTube.
Okay.
I believe. If I'm wrong on that one, I apologize. But I think they actually just put out another episode here recently. I saw whatever promo for it. So word got out that the reason why all these shows got axed is because Zach Bagans went to the network and had them cancel them because he thought that in true Zach Bagans style, in my opinion, they were getting too popular, and he didn't like that. Well, Dakota has done a video of him saying, no, that's not true. And, blah, blah, blah. But does that mean Zach and I are friends? No, it doesn't. So now, while all that came out, then the old claims of evidence fraud to Zach came up.
Right.
So Ghost Adventures in their fake evidence. Or if they're faking evidence, I should say, in order to
or have faked evidence, right?
Or have faked evidence, correct?
Right. In the past to try and boost up viewership, whatever.
Correct. And that caused then like Nick Groff to do a video because people started asking him about it. And again, I just read like one article just because Lauren put it into our team chat, and I'm like, I'm sitting here in a parking lot. Why not? Let me do my due diligence before I respond to the team.
Right.
So I, like I said, I just wanted to get your opinion of that entire story on everything.
Okay. Well, I'll give you my opinion. I think I think that we're saturated with a lot of copycat shows. Honestly, I don't think we need 5 different shows that have the exact same kind of storyline, if you want to say that, if you want to call it that. I think that somebody needs to sit down in the think tank room and come up with a really good show that not only is entertaining, but looks at the paranormal in a different perspective than what they're doing right now. Something fresh and exciting let's put it this way. I know that it's to sell advertising space. We all know that. I know that it's entertainment. I know that too. But they need to put a show together that paranormal investigators and people that are vested in the paranormal find entertaining. If that's possible. Now, whether that's going to sell enough ad space to be great or not, I don't know. They haven't tried it, so I don't know. You can't judge anything when it hasn't been produced yet. So does it need to be done? Sure, it does. It needs to be done. Maybe will that not survive on a regular network and have to go to something like YouTube? Possibly. But that's okay. At least they gave it an attempt. At least it's not the same cookie cutter bullshit that everybody's doing right now. Let's go to the same place. Let's go to this place. Well, so-and-so is there. Let's go there too. Oh, okay. Well, let's go over there. Because everybody just goes to the same damn place, has the same damn experiences. We've gone to the same, we've gone to locations that they've gone to, and we've had, in my opinion, much better experiences, than what they got. Like I've said this from day one, and I'll stick to this until the day they bury me. Well, they're not going to bury me. They're going to burn me, but I'll stick to it till the day we do. If you put us in a location for a weekend, you give me 3 or 4 days, you and I, 3 or 4 days in a location with some decent equipment, And I guarantee you that we're going to pull better evidence out of there than some of the shit I watch on TV. Guarantee it. And nobody's paying us to do it. And we're not faking shit. We've never faked anything. Not once.
Nope.
No reason to, right? There's no reason to.
No.
All we'd be doing is damaging the industry.
Yeah.
Because that's really what happens in the end. It isn't about us. It's never about us. But I've been involved in this for a long time. And for me, it's always been the bigger picture. I want to see this thing move forward in my lifetime. I want to have some phenomenal aha moment in my lifetime. I've had those personally. You know, I've had my moments where I've doubted things have been real. And then I've had my moments where I've been like, wow, you know, whether it be an EVP or a personal experience or seeing a full body apparition or catching the fairy on camera, right?
Mhm.
I mean, whatever. I mean, that moment you were there, I blew up out of the chair. I was jumping up and down like a damn kid at 4 years old at Christmas, you know, and I've been doing it a long time before that happened. But that was a great piece of evidence. That's indisputable.
The thing about what's going on now is, I mean, now it's not, I don't even know if it's about ads because everything is going streaming now. And people are now I think it's about subscriptions.
That's probably where it's headed. Yeah.
Can we make a show that will make people want to subscribe to our network or a streaming service,
or do like a Patreon, right? Pay to view or something like that.
I don't know if they'll ever go that far, but I mean, people can obviously, but it would be personal. It wouldn't be a network or anything.
A network thing, right? Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of the shows deserve to get axed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But my fear now is they're going to regroup and they're going to come up with a whole new way to shit on us.
Oh God. Something's coming.
I know.
Right.
I know.
So there's something in the pot. They're not going to cancel 2 popular shows and not put it in the spin cycle and come up with some new shit, which is just going to be repetitive. It's just going to have a different title on it.
Well, different title and new people for us.
And new people, right?
Well, at least for me to not like.
Yeah.
But
Portals to Hell was a horrible name. Didn't mind the show.
Really
didn't mind. That was the first thing I said about it. I'm like, what kind of show? Like, you're sending them out to look for a portal of hell. It's the dumbest goddamn concept I've ever seen in my life. I like both the people. I like Jack. I like Katrina. I think that they investigate well together. I like watching Jack get, honestly, I think, scared at times when he really does run into something that's a little dark and spooky. I think he really does fear it, and I think that's entertaining to watch. But way
to be part of the problem, Dave.
Yeah, well, I got to have my entertainment value somehow. I'm not watching Housewives in New Jersey, so
nor should you.
No, exactly. So I get my little paranormal fix going. But anyway, let's move on to questions. We got some good ones.
I agree. All right. So here we go. Well, question number 1. Stone tape theory, place memories, and residual energy?
Yeah, we'll see you at 8:15. Yeah.
Probably. All right. Recently, I was thinking about how it is possible for traumatic events to leave an impression on our reality. Someone commits a murder, for instance, then is recorded by the matter around the incident. Eventually, sometime after, the residual energy is replayed. So my question is, why wouldn't or couldn't this matter record a traumatic event even if someone didn't die? Effectively, the same kind of traumatic event takes place, but because the individuals involved don't die, apparently it isn't recorded. Basically, someone could be an apparition manifest in our realm without dying. Why not? I think he meant could not be an apparition manifesting.
I think so too. Yeah.
In our realm without dying. Why not? According to these aforementioned events, there should be residual energy. Conclusion: 1. Stone tape theory doesn't always record traumatic events. 2. Someone must die violently for it to take place. 3. The theory is only considered when loss of life takes place and the ghosts aren't present, just an imprint of sorts. 4, residual events aren't even real ghosts, just manifestations of our collective consciousness instead of a recording like poltergeist activity. So, can a ghost be a parallel drift in time in some cases? What do you guys think? I am going to start out by saying the first time that I read this early this afternoon, I almost had a seizure.
I can honestly see that happening.
There is so much to unpack here. I don't even really know how to begin. So I'm
gonna sit back and let you roll, baby. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Stone tape theory doesn't always record traumatic events. Well, stone tape theory is a theory, so we don't know exactly how it works, but it records traumatic events regardless of whether somebody dies or not. So I don't know where the person came up with this mentality that only if people die does it get recorded. That's not the case whatsoever. You can have traumatic events. You can have happy events. It doesn't even have to be traumatic. It just has to be either very, very repetitive to the point where over time it gets done. Like you have lots of people who move into homes and they hear cabinets at 5 a.m, opening and closing, because the person that lived there previously did that every morning at 5 a.m. for 40 years straight. It got recorded. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing traumatic about that whatsoever. And it has nothing to do with the former homeowner or whatever passing away, whether in the house or not. It just got recorded into the walls, into, whatever the home is made of, or if it's, foundation in limestone or quartz. Is that your phone?
Yeah, I just turned it off.
Way to go, Dave.
It was going off.
I understand.
I caught it.
So, obviously, if it's a very, I don't even want to say traumatic, because it doesn't have to be traumatic. If it's a powerful experience, if you have a massive fight, if something bad happens to you in a certain place, you put out a lot of energy in that moment, which then gets absorbed into the surrounding environment. So nowhere in the stone tape theory does it say somebody needs to die in order for it to be recorded. So you get rid of that right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that took care of one. Someone must die that's totally false for 2.
Right.
The theory is only considered when loss of life takes place. Again, completely wrong.
Right.
It gets considered anytime that an investigator or whoever feels that it's residual energy. Residual events aren't even ghosts. Well, no, they're not. They're energy. It doesn't have any consciousness to it. It's going to happen whether you're there or not. It has nothing to do with you whatsoever, or a spirit whatsoever. Just manifestations of our collective consciousness. No. That to me would be an hallucination, not the stone tape theory. If it's our collective
or an alien encounter. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's not necessarily, that's obviously not a spirit. And has nothing to do with the stone tape theory.
No. He's blending everything, so I'm just blending shit in with him. So
right, he really is.
Yeah.
Like the next sentence, like poltergeist activity. You have no idea what poltergeist activity is if you're putting this in there. I'm not even going to go into it. What poltergeist activity is. That's just no place in this question whatsoever.
No.
Because poltergeist activity is not residual place memory or has anything to do with the stone tape theory.
No.
So can a ghost be a parallel drift in time? And
was that your phone?
It was my phone. I honestly thought that I had put it on silent. My apologies to everybody.
We're usually better than that, but it's been a couple weeks.
And I just said we weren't rusty.
And we weren't rusty.
Well, egg on my face.
Yes.
Anyway, so can ghosts be a parallel drift in time in some cases? I suppose.
That's a whole new can of worms, man. Talking about parallel dimensions and poltergeist activity in the same sentence, along with stone tape theory.
Right. So, the writer of this put just a smorgasbord of shit together into one question, and I'm just, since it really had to do with the stone tape theory, I'm just going to leave it at that and let you do your own answer.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you said. I think that the one thing that people need to understand about stone tape theory is it's the release of energy into the atmosphere, right? And that there has to be some type of I think there has to be some type of perfect environment for the recording to take place. It just doesn't happen everywhere. So I don't think it has to necessarily be violent either. I think it could be love, it could be happiness. I've heard stories of seeing somebody gathering flowers in a field. That's not violent, but that partial apparition that was seen over and over and over again of like a female form that looked like she was gathering flowers, that was, I would imagine, was a happy time. And that her, whatever reason, she left an imprint because she was giving such a large emotional outburst of energy. So the violence doesn't have anything to do with stone tape theory, I don't think. I think that people associate that with it because everybody thinks about death or violence or whatever, or like crime or murder or something like that, and then says, "Oh, that's gonna, come back to play." But I think it's any type of energy. So I just want to throw that in there without beating a dead horse with this one. It doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be death. It can just be any type of energy that causes the atmosphere to absorb it and then make a copy of it, so to speak, in layman's terms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, that didn't take that long. It was only 9 minutes. That's pretty good. Okay, number 2. Should I share it with my wife? My family and I have lived in our 70-year-old house for about 8 years, and my wife and I recently moved into an upstairs bedroom. Wife and son were out of town last week, and I was alone in the house. I awoke suddenly in the middle of the night and thought I heard whispered, "Get out." I'm not one to jump to the paranormal immediately and just thought my mind was playing tricks with me. Well, the family is back now, and last night the same thing happened. I awoke suddenly from a deep sleep and clearly heard, "Get out." The previous owner was the original homeowner and passed away in the house. Her ashes were sprinkled around the backyard. Would she have an issue with us all of a sudden? I am a religious person. The room was not her room, but has been unused until just recently. Okay. I went into the room last evening and told her that this was my house now. We're a wonderful family and taking great care of her home. Now you have to go. So basically establishing his territory, like we've talked about. I did tell my wife, more out of curiosity than anything else, to see if she had heard anything. Now she won't go up there alone. Ugh. Should have stayed quiet. She also blames me for it! Exclamation point. She says, every time I tell the story about the lady's ashes in the backyard, it is in a funny way and that I should not be lighthearted about her being there. What do you think could be causing this sudden spike in activity? Okay. So I think it's an assumption here that there is activity in the first place. If it was the middle of the day, or if you were in the bedroom, you were wide awake, you were getting dressed for work, you were making the bed, you were getting ready for bed, laying in bed, reading, and you heard something come up into your ear and say, "Get out," I would consider that to be spirit contact. Both times, this individual, one, awoken suddenly in the middle of the night, the first time to get out, and then awoken suddenly from a deep sleep and clearly heard "Get out." There's been a lot of times that over my lifetime that I have woken up from a deep sleep and thought that I heard somebody yell my name, Dave, in the room. Don't know why. Don't know why that is. Wake up, look around. There's nobody in the room. Just roll back over, go back to sleep. I mean, it's to me that is your mind is really busy. Right? And I'm sure that's for me, it is too. So your mind is super busy and you are that could be just that could be something out of your dream. And it's just, or maybe it wasn't even get out. Maybe you just heard something And then all of a sudden, when you woke up, your brain processed it as the words get out. So I'm going to throw that out there first because I don't think there's anything paranormal happening here at all. But I digress into this. If there is all of a sudden contact from the previous homeowner that she's telling you to get out, she's probably upset about the fact that you're joking about the fact that her ashes are in the backyard of her house that she maybe built or that she lived in for 50, 60 years with her husband and kids or whatever. Whatever the case whatever the backstory is irrelevant. But if her ashes are in the backyard, it probably is because she loved that house so much that that's what her final wish was, that she's like, I'm never leaving here. We built this house, my husband and I. I'm always going to stay here. You should respect that. I have told clients this over and over and over again. If you think you're having contact with an individual that had built the house, one of the best ways to appease that and put an end to the whole situation is to find a picture or some type of artifact from that individual and hang it up in the house. Doesn't have to be above the fireplace. Doesn't have to be in a prominent viewing area. I'm not saying that, but find something, hang it up in the house as a piece of respect and a piece of the history of the house. And it works beautifully. If that's the case, number one, stop making fun of the fact that she's buried in the backyard, because that's kind of a dick move. And number two, pay her some respect. Find out about her. Say hi to her if you think she's there. If she is, and you start showing her respect, I would assume that your contact will turn from get out to hello or something more pleasant, because she might welcome you then into what she still considers to be her house.
I'm taking a little bit different
Okay.
approach.
Good. That's why the show is so damn entertaining.
It is. So 100% agree with you on show some respect. I'm not. I am a backer. Like I will support the fact of him just being like, we're a good family. We take care of this house. Do not like the fact it's like, but you have to go. Do not like that whatsoever. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on he should just have stopped it there.
Right.
I definitely like the, find a picture of her, something hanging up on the wall.
Anything that right. Anything.
So what I think may be going on here is it is very, very possible that, he's just waking up and he's hearing something and he's matrixing the words. 100% possibility. But I'm more interested in why it suddenly is coming up now and what changed. And what obviously changed is they moved up into that bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that the woman, I'm assuming it's the lady of the house, because he never really said whether it was a male or female voice. But
right.
We're just assuming that since he brought up
he's leaning towards the fact that it was the lady that used to live there.
Which makes me assume that it was a female voice.
A female voice, yeah.
And I think that she's just talking about getting out of that room and not the house. Because if she wanted them gone when they first moved in, they would hear it all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
They would have heard it long before now. But because they moved into this previously unused bedroom, I'm wondering if she did not, just in order to stay out of their way but still be a part of the house, claim that room to be hers.
Mm-hmm.
And now they moved into it, and now maybe she feels she doesn't have a room in the house anymore.
And she hates the basement, so she's not going to the basement.
Who knows? Maybe it's a finished basement.
Maybe. Right.
Maybe even the dead hate the basement.
They seem to conjugate down there, but right, exactly. I've always wondered that myself. Like, why do you pick the shittiest spot in the house?
I honestly don't know.
I never have got an answer for that. That's intelligent either.
Basement, corners, and closets.
An attic.
I almost
Why
never
do you
hear,
like to run around in the attic?
I almost never hear the attic anymore. It's always the corner, the basement, or the closet.
There is something about corners, because even the shit I've seen has always been in the corner.
It's
I'm like,
always
get
in
out of the corner. God, if you're
Nobody
gonna
put
come pay a visit, just come out and stand out where I can see you.
yeah, nobody puts the hat man in the corner.
No.
But so I'm wondering if her get out reaction is about that room and not necessarily about them. Obviously, when it comes to, I don't think that the spreading ashes in a funny way uh, bothers her, because apparently, according to the wife, he's probably been doing it a long time, and she's either not minded or it hasn't bothered her enough. I think the wife in here is probably just looking for a way to to blame something on what's causing it, as opposed to just looking at what changed between then and the last 8 years, or now in the last 8 years.
I think the wife didn't get her master bedroom that she was promised on the main level, and he took her to the upstairs room, and now she's pissed off. She's like, I hate this room. I'm never going back in that room. You can sleep there all by yourself. I'm going to sleep down here. So I can see that conversation.
Yeah. Should he have shared it with the wife? Yes.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think that he should have gone in and told this former homeowner that it's time for them to go. It should have just been like, we're taking good care of your house. And this is really what like a paranormal team like mine, lives for, to find out exactly what is going on and how to absolve, compromise the situation and absolve this issue with both parties being okay with it. Right. So, I mean, like, this is something that I would definitely tell this client is you should say, hey, we know you're here. It's okay that you're here.
Right.
And find out if it is about the room or something else that they're doing. And if it is about him making fun of the ashes being in the backyard, well, then obviously the advice is to knock that shit off.
Right. And apologize for your previous egregious behavior.
Exactly.
And put a nice photo of her somewhere in the house.
Absolutely.
Make her feel like she's welcome, like she's part of the family.
I don't know if I go that far, but that's just me.
Well, right. That's why I said I wouldn't put her up on the mantle. but you can find some wall space someplace where you can hang a photo of somebody.
Oh yeah, on the stairs,
wherever.
Yeah, exactly. Or put
even a small picture in a bookcase. Like it doesn't have to be an 8x10 glossy, right? It can be an old 4x6 or 3.5x5 photo from the old, from when she was younger or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So. All righty. So here we go. Number 3. Is this paranormal? We shall see. First, let me start by saying I don't know if this is paranormal, or if anything, I'd love for you to tell me that it isn't. I've always felt really strange about the woods behind my partner's house. There's a community center on one side, and then on the other, there's this patch of woods that leads to a little fishing pond. I've walked through the woods during the day and felt generally fine, maybe a little bit uneasy, but the trees are high and thick, and it's very gray even on a sunny day. At night, though, it's a whole different story. I cannot look out of his back windows facing the woods in the community center grounds, which is a big garden and no trees, at night, without being convinced something is looking back at me. There was also one night when I was asleep, but suddenly woke up and felt a really evil presence from that side of the house. I'm not scared of his house or the dark or anything like that, so I'm completely fine with the front of the house and inside of it. It's just this overwhelming feeling of fear and dread about the back. Any thoughts? I think this is the basement part outside. Like, people are just generally scared of darkness like darkness in the woods. The blackness that comes with it. Is there something there? Is there something isn't? I'm sure the front of the house is probably lit by street lights. Or lights from the parking lot of the community center. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know what exactly I woke up and felt a really evil presence on that side of the house means, or what that feels like.
Right.
But I definitely think that you're probably psyching yourself out. That I think it's just, I don't want to say it's mass hysteria because nobody else is doing it except you, but I definitely think that you've gotten it in your head that there's something creepy about the woods because it's big and black, and dark. And so I think you're just kind of running it over in your head that there must be something bad about it. And I don't think there's anything paranormal here. I don't think there's anything wrong with the woods. I think it's just your mentality towards it and how you see it. Um, I could even go so far into left field and say that maybe it has something to do with a past life, something to do with woods that you don't like, that affected you back then, that is breaching itself on your subconscious now. But I think in the general terms of everything, I don't think there's anything wrong with those woods, and it's just you.
I would agree. I like the fact, and I think this might come into play, right? So if you've got a community center next door, and like you said, you've got probably lit up, I would imagine, unless it's like really rural. But if it's, if it's small town or even in town, right, with a patch of woods behind it, there's woods in towns, obviously. I think that, there could be some shadow play going on from the community center shadowing back to those woods. And as we know, a lot of times shadows create more of a sense of fear than just pure blackness does. To me, it does anyway. Like usually if I see something out of the corner of my eye, most of the time I'm just going to say, well, it was just a play on lights because of the way the lights are in here or there or whatever, unless I'm in a completely dark space. And if I were in a completely dark space and so I see something out of the corner of my eye, then I know obviously that it was there. So I agree. I don't know where the whole evil presence things comes from. I think that's just an overuse of the term. Thank God it didn't say demonic, right?
No, you didn't say demonic.
It didn't say demonic. It just said evil. So I think that this is just an innate fear of the woods, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything paranormal here either. I think possibly that there could be some sort of animal in the woods and that your spidey senses are just kicking in and that, your body's just being safe, saying, you know what, we shouldn't be out there at night. Maybe there's coyotes, maybe there's a bear, maybe there's, a mountain lion. I don't know what the location of this town is, so I don't know, but maybe there's something in the woods that potentially could be dangerous to you physically. And so your body has picked up on that somehow from being walking in the woods. You said or she indicated that she's been there, or he, whatever, indicated that they've been in the woods during the day. So if you've been there, your body could be picking up on something that's in the woods. That's just Mother Nature, and that your spidey senses are like, oof, yeah, we probably shouldn't be here at night because this is the time when X is going to be out, when this thing is going to be out. So it'd probably be unsafe to be here in the evening time. So let's just go fishing during the day when it's nice and then get our ass out of here and then go back to the house. And, it does remind me a little bit too, though, of the place in White Bear, right? Where nobody ever said anything about the front of that house either, but it was like, don't look in the back, So I don't know. I still don't think it's paranormal. I'm just putting a correlation between something that we've actually been to that was similar in a respect because everything in the backyard was solid black and evil and dark and like couldn't see the street light and all this other stuff. That was the side of the house that the bathroom was on that nobody would go in. So, but yeah, nope, I don't think it's paranormal either. All right, anything else on that one?
Nope.
Okay, number 4. Things disappearing from home. Hi, everyone. I'm looking for advice or some answers as to why this has happened. My mom's house has always been weird. Noises in the night, things moving, etc. One of the notable ones was my sister was using a graphics pen and left it on the coffee table while she went to the bathroom. She came downstairs and it was gone. She and my mom searched high and low with no luck. Then about 5 hours later, it appeared on the kitchen countertop. It was not there before, as my mom had prepared dinner, and she would have 100% noticed it. We all had a laugh about it and made jokes about mom's haunted house. Flash forward to today, where I got a panicked call from my mom saying her mirror had disappeared. For context, she has a pretty big round IKEA mirror where she does her makeup that sits next to the bed on some decorative boxes. It's large and pretty heavy. She said that she did her makeup in it and left for work as usual. Came back home for lunch and realized the mirror had completely disappeared. She looked everywhere but could not find it. It's also big enough to be very hard to miss. She checked on her Ring doorbell and no one had been in the house and all the doors were still locked. What could have caused this? We've never had a horrible feeling in the house, but this time it feels different. I could easily say that if you had a cat or any type of animals in the house, a dog, whatever, they could easily pick that pen up. Somebody could have carried it into the kitchen. Somebody could have saw it laying on the ground in the kitchen, picked it up, put it on the counter. That's 100% that could have happened. I guess I don't understand how big the IKEA mirror is. It's not big enough that it's like wall hanging, but it's big enough that it sits on some decorative boxes. It's got to be big enough to do makeup in.
I think it's probably one of those round makeup mirrors.
That's what I was kind of thinking too, right? Like where you could flip it and you get the double, like one side's regular and the other side's doubled up, so you can get your fine lines or whatever.
Yeah, I think it would probably be about the size of like a desk lamp, something like that.
Okay, so I would say, all right, I'm going to throw this out. Aside from the fact that somebody's playing a joke and that one of the kids in the house borrowed it and or took it and hid it, just being mischievous, or needed it themselves and it's in their room. I wouldn't, if her sister's there, her sister might have needed it for her makeup. Throwing that out, I'm throwing it out there as a plausible reason, but I'm also dismissing it at the same time. I honestly would not have an answer for you without more information as to how something like a reversible makeup mirror is going to just disappear out of your mom's room. If it's not natural causes, like I just stated, then I think you got something serious going on in the house, and I'd love to come over. Because I think you're going to have shit like apporting from the ceiling, like dimes are going to start falling and dryer sheets and, stuff that you're like, what the hell is this? It's raining jumbo marshmallows. That's like, that would be phenomenal to see. But I don't really have an answer for that. If you take out the natural explanation of somebody like the sister borrowed it and just, didn't put it back.
Yeah, let me read something here really quick. Flash forward to okay, so it was today. So this person was not able to put in that they had found it.
No.
Or where they found it. So that would go a long way into letting us know which way to lean, because I agree with you. You put a pen or whatever on a table. Maybe somebody comes and bumps the table on accident and it rolls off onto the floor. Somebody sees it maybe a little bit later and puts it on the counter.
Right.
100% with you on that one. Definitely could possibly happen.
Yep.
But this is a little different because it seems like nobody was home at the time.
Right.
and they never really said where they found it. Like this to me goes where like the battery suddenly appeared in the freezer, that sort of thing.
Right.
So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's not like you said, somebody did not come in or somebody wasn't in the home and borrowed it, and you found it later in the
In the freezer.
Or if it's in the freezer, then there's something
or
going
the
on.
oven, right? Yeah, if it was in the freezer or the oven when you discovered it, there's probably something going on in your house.
Yes, right. And I will be right there with Dave.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
When he comes over to your house,
exactly. Yeah, we'll be there.
But I mean,
this week.
Yes, and so this, I really can't even say this is classic apportation.
No,
because there's no such thing as classic, but it does seem to suggest that there is some sort of apporting going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, and apparently nobody's blaming it really on like, oh, we have all this activity in the house, or we've experienced weird things. I mean, what do you say? There's always been weird in the house. Yeah.
Well, you said it's always been kind of weird noises in the night, things moving, whatever that means.
Well, I mean,
does that mean like a glass sliding across the table that people have witnessed before, or a candle moving across the coffee table people have witnessed? If that's the case, that's kind of like you should put that in there too. We're not sure why the mirror disappeared, but there has been multiple times, like when I put a cup down and it slid across the coffee table.
Yeah, and that to me is classic poltergeist activity, even the apporting.
Yeah.
So I mean, more information, obviously, on what exactly like the noises at night are, what exactly the things moving means. I mean, you have a lot of stuff that could be going on that is creating this. Who else lives in the house? Is it just you and your mother? Are there other?
Well, sister for sure, because it was a sister's graphics pen that was lost.
Right. Oh yeah, right. You're right.
So there's three of them there for sure.
So you have two women,
2 women and son.
And son. So, I mean, right there, I mean, depending on how old the sister is and how old the mom is, I mean, maybe they're both getting to that age where poltergeist activity starts to occur. If they're in some way, emotionally upset about something, or going through something in their lives. So, I mean, yeah, I'm leaning towards poltergeist activity just on the thing, but I would definitely need more information on what else is going on in order to further that line of thought.
Agreed. And we'll be there this week.
Yeah.
I want to find out more about the whole things moving and stuff like that. So
yeah, me too. All right. Visitation or a dream? For context, I dream a lot. I have really crazy dreams almost every night. So my grandfather passed away when I was around 10 or 11 years old. A few years later, when I was around 15, I had a dream about him. But the dream wasn't crazy and had no storyline. He was just talking to me. And all he said was, "I wish I never died. I miss you all so much," which made me sad to hear. I kind of woke up, still in a sleepy state of mind, and all I thought was, he's here in my room. Well, now I'm 22. My brother-in-law's father died 2 years ago from COVID. Last night, I had a dream about his father. His father came to me in my dream and spoke to me, just like the dream I had had of my grandfather. I can't remember what he said, and I wish I did. I again woke up and thought, he's here in my room. I wonder why he came to visit me, if he actually did. I was sleeping at my sister and brother-in-law's house, so it would make sense that he'd be around there. Maybe he came to me because I'm more susceptible to it. My brother-in-law doesn't really believe in anything supernatural or otherworldly, so it might be difficult to have for him to visit him. What are your thoughts? I definitely believe people are more open to the idea to others. However, I honestly don't know if that has anything to do with spirits being able to come to you in your dreams. It's definitely the easiest way in which they can do so. They can enter our dreams and they can talk to us through there. But I don't know if so much openness really deters them from doing that. Maybe that's the word I want to use, deters them. Maybe it makes it more difficult, but I think if you really want to reach out to somebody, you're going to be able to do so, especially in that state. But while I was reading this, I actually had a thought come to my mind that I hadn't really considered before, because we've done a lot of visitation dream stories before, and I've never really said this before now. So it was probably my spirit guides telling me, here's another thought for you. Here's another way of looking at this. And that is, sometimes if there's a message that somebody like a loved one wants to convey, it might be easier for them to tell somebody else in order to relay that to them. I actually often thought that, like, if my father passed away, that he would probably come to me in a dream before my sister, even though him and my sister have a much, much better relationship, because it would be easier for probably both of them for him to tell me. Like, I would be able to handle it a lot better than she would. And the emotions won't get in the way, because I would think that if you have a really good relationship with your daughter, your mother, your grandma, whatever, that as soon as you see them and realize that they're there, you're going to be overwhelmed with happiness or maybe even more grief, whatever. And that's going to cloud what they have come there to tell you. And so they might find somebody that's close to you that is open to such a thing to relay that message to you so you can relay it to them. And if that's the case, that's fine. I mean, it's probably going to be very disappointing to the people who you have to tell it to, because their first thing that they're going to come to is, why didn't he come to me? And
or in this case, with him not being a believer in anything supernatural or otherworldly, he's just going to dismiss it.
Right. It was just a dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It'll be dismissed.
Yeah, exactly.
Guarantee it. Yeah.
And if you have something very important that you want to tell somebody, and you know that they're going to dismiss it, then you're not going to go and tell them. You're going to tell you're going to tell it to somebody who will listen to what you have to say. And so, yeah. So, I mean, I definitely believe that you were visited, by your grandfather and probably by this father. And it is, I don't want to say sad, but it is disappointing that you weren't able to remember what the message was.
Right.
It might come to pass maybe another time when you get there or sleep over there or whatever, where he comes to you again and tries to relay it. If that ever happens, try to write it down immediately. And just so, because I have had dreams where I woke up and I'm like, I need to remember, and I need to remember it. And I'm saying this as it's fading because I'm just not able to hold on to it.
Right.
So, I mean, it happens. So if you can have a quick 15 seconds after you wake up to have the thought in your head of grabbing a pen and paper, grabbing your phone, which I'm sure is right by your bed, and just typing really quick,
just
and then
record a message.
Oh, that too. Hit record on your microphone or whatever, and just like, I just had a dream. This is so I don't forget it. That sort of thing. So that's my answer to that one.
Yeah, I used to sleep with when my dreams were super active. They've slowed down a lot, but when they were just crazy like this, this person's like, I have really crazy dreams almost every night. So did I. And I used to actually keep a recorder right next to my bed. And I just would, my black Sony one. And I would just, if I woke up and it was something like I that was important that I didn't want to forget, I'm not going to turn the lights on and start writing crap down. So I just would grab it, click, and I would just speak freely and openly about what it was, and then turn it off and roll back over and go to sleep, knowing that I had saved what was important that I can review later. So if, for anybody listening, if you're having activity happen at night where you are being visited by people, if they are leaving you messages, if and now with cell phones, obviously, it probably is just as convenient to grab your cell phone and push one button or two buttons and record it. At the time, going back in time, there was no cell phones, so that's why I used a recorder. But I would record it. You can get a lot more out a lot quicker, just speaking it than writing it. Not saying writing it's a bad idea, but recording it would be my preference. I think that this individual has some abilities. The fact that they're having crazy dreams almost every night, to me, they're either dream walking, astral projecting, maybe crossing over into something, that we don't quite understand yet, and having these amazing experiences. I've been there. I know what that feels like. So it doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form that if that's happening to you and that you're having these amazing experiences and these amazing traveling, interactive dreams every night, they're probably not all dreams, number one. And number two, it doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form that a spirit would come to you because they see you as a beacon of light, somebody that's a conveyor of messages. And I do think that you remember what he said. It's in your mind. It's in your brain. What's going to happen is there's going to be something that, now bear with me here. There's going to be something that your brother's father-in-law, who passed away from COVID, he said to you what he wanted to say. Is he going to come back and say it twice? Maybe, but I don't think so. What I think is going to happen, though, is it's in your mind, right? I think she remembers it. So what I think he can do is he's going to trigger something that's going to be one of those kind of moments where you're like, oh, there it is. I remember what he said. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that if he really is around, if he really did visit you and he really is there, and I'm just going with this, reading it and taking it all with a grain of salt, that he really was there. He really passed on a message that's important that he wants you to pass on, like Mike said. I think that he's going to come back and you're going to have this aha moment, whether you're eating dinner, whether you're driving to the theater, whether you're at the grocery store, whatever. You're going to have something is going to trigger that, and exactly what he said to you is going to go right back out of your mind and be right in front of your face, and then you're going to remember what it is. It's in there. It's in here. It's just clouded right now for whatever reason. So I think it's going to come out. Other than that, that's really all I got. I think this person probably has a lot of gifts that are probably not being explored, to be honest with you. It's a very open mind for an adult to be able to have those kind of dreams, So, and to be visited. And there's a reason why people get visited, obviously, because we're receptive. And to be receptive, you have to be open-minded. You have to be kind of like me and a bunch of other people like me that never listened to our parents when they said, it's nothing, go back to bed. No, bullshit. It's something. There's something. I saw it. So there's something there. So I never took the dismissal thing ever. So, and there's a bunch of people like that are out there, and this might be one of those cases. So I think the person that, I think that what's happening there is probably fairly legit. And we're moving on to number 6. Okay. Because then we're going to jump, and we might get to 7, but we'll see, because it's already 8. So I want to get this one in. When I tried telling my priest I might be demonically oppressed, I started choking for no reason. My life has been freakishly unlucky these past few years. I can tell you things you could never believe, I promise you. It's become a joke within my friend group that my life is like a sitcom because the most statistically unlikely horrible things seem to happen to me nonstop. I used to be secular, meaning religious, for those people who don't know what that means. But about a year ago, I dabbled in witchcraft in an attempt to protect myself from this dark energy. That's a good move. Which I felt had been there all my life, but was accelerating. I was desperate. This backfired, to say the very least. Within a few weeks of me doing my spell, and here comes the list of shit that happened after the spell.
Well, you forgot about twice. A few weeks from me doing the spell twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, twice. Sorry. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Twice. I was in an elevator that malfunctioned and almost fell with me inside it. The first one actually did fall, but only one floor, and I wasn't hurt. I sliced open my foot while taking out the trash because my roommate put a broken glass in it. I got temporary nerve damage in my leg after having acupuncture, which is remarkably rare, and it made my symptoms worse. I got pregnant despite having an IUD and nearly 100% condom usage. I got into an accident where I felt full impact on my face. I fell with full impact on my face, and since then, my jaw has not been closing properly. My teeth are not fitting together, and it has been hard for me to chew. Most doctors I have seen for this issue were not taking me seriously, and it's still something I'm struggling to find treatment for. My best friend went to rehab. Coworkers started sexually harassing me. On top of all this, seemingly every other appointment I tried to make with therapists, doctors, dentists, etc., would get canceled day of for random things like doctor was ill, the weather's bad, etc. My mom, who lives in a different state from me, also started experiencing similar things. TMJ disorder, I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
After crappy dental work. Elevator in her apartment complex broke and fell 8 stories as she was about to get in it, etc. Also, when my boyfriend started dating me, he started experiencing bad luck too. Run away. Anyway, I mean no disrespect to people who practice Wicca and all that. It's just not for me. Clearly, I screwed up with my spellcraft and summoned something dark. I have since re-entered Catholicism, baptized Catholic as a child, but my family was never devout. My priest offers personal deliverance ministries, and as I was trying to talk to him about my suspicions, I started choking, as if I was having an asthma attack, but I don't have asthma. I had to collect my breath, but I couldn't stop wheezing. It started only a few seconds after I began talking to him. He seemed pretty concerned. I think he didn't want to freak me out too much, but I remember he asked me several times if that happened to me often, and I said no. Is this weird? With 6 exclamation points or 6 question marks. Okay. Now, I don't want to sound like Mike, but
That's right. You leave the sounding like Mike to me.
that's exactly right. Here's what I'm going to say. First of all, I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. I think that you freaked the shit out of yourself because you were dabbling in witchcraft. I don't think anything happened. I don't think you cast a spell and raised a demon. Unless you intentionally tried to cast a spell and raise a demon, then potentially you did, and then you're screwed. And like I always say, be careful what you wish for. So I don't feel sorry for people who do stuff like that. I think what's happening is you're taking, it's almost like being a hypochondriac for medical reasons, where every time you see a commercial on TV about somebody having an illness, oh my God, I have those symptoms too. I must have that. There's a lot of people out there that are like that. To me, it's not hypochondriac in this case, but it's like that same mindset. I think that she is looking for all of the negative stuff. And I think that you sharing this stuff with your friend group is making it worse, because your friend group is just strengthening all of the negativity and all of the things that are freaking you out. And so now it's gotten to the point where you're looking everywhere you look, you're looking for things that are bad in order to add them to your bucket. And that's where I think you're at. And I think this is more of a emotional issue that requires psychiatric care to unpack your suitcase, so to speak. Sorry about that blow up there. So I honestly think that this is not paranormal. I do not think you're demonically oppressed. I don't think that going to see your deliverance minister and you starting to choke really has anything to do with it, unless it's happened a dozen times. Okay. If you had said, I went to see my priest, and every time, and I've been there 8 times, I tried to talk to him about what's happening in my life, I start getting choked out. All right, something's going on. Something strange is going on. Or your priest, or you have an aversion to your priest for whatever reason. Maybe it's their cologne and it's whatever. You're allergic to it. I mean, that's sounds out of place, but it could happen. It's in the 1%ers, but it could happen. If it's a one-time thing where you're having this choking thing, yeah, it's not the devil grabbing your windpipe in keeping you from talking to your priest about the fact that you almost fell down an elevator and cut your leg and got pregnant when you used nearly 100% condom usage.
I saw that too.
You fell and, busted your jaw and, things don't fit. I mean, that's just random stuff that happens to people every day in their lives. So I think that I will say this. Okay. I will say this. The elevator malfunction thing. Okay. Maybe, and I'm stretching the word maybe out here. Maybe there's, something goofy going on there. The fact that your mom experienced it, is it jumping from you to her? If there is something attached to you, if there's a demon attached to you and you're under demonic oppression, is it jumping from you to your mother? Highly unlikely. Especially since I think I read in there that she lives in a different state. So is it, could the demon travel? Absolutely. In a millisecond. Is it going to when it's having so much fun feasting on your buffet? Probably not. That's like taking a 600-pound person away from the KFC buffet. It ain't going to happen. If there's still food on the buffet, they're sticking around. And that's what happens with demonic oppression. They're not leaving. There's no reason to leave. They found their dinner plate. They're sticking around. They're not going to jump to your mom and go for a little scare moment. I don't see that happening. So really, I think that this is a case of somebody needing psychiatric care. That's just focusing too much on negativity.
Yeah, I saw this as a self-fulfilling, I don't want to say prophecy, but it's like a self-fulfilling curse.
Yeah,
that
self-imposed.
Self-imposed.
Yeah.
And, I deal with, it depends on where you live. You obviously live in an apartment complex. There's obviously some beautiful high rises, and then there's obviously like the low income type housing. And I have been in elevators as a delivery driver that have made me worry. There's a lot that, a lot of places where maintenance isn't high up there on the list because it costs money. So I think you had one bad thing happen to you and then maybe another. This actually is a really good movie time, because there's a scene in the movie The Replacements where they're talking about fears. And Replacements is a phenomenal movie with Keanu Reeves. You should see it. It's amazing. But it's about football. But
yep, it's a football movie.
Exactly. So what he talks about something called quicksand. And that is, everything is going well until something starts to go wrong. And then another, and then another. And then all of a sudden, the harder you fight to get over it, the further you sink.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems to me to be that way, that they call it the law of attraction. Like, I think you got it in your head after the first couple times that you're cursed, or you have your suspicions. And so you started fulfilling these things yourself. And you started taking these random coincidences, like the doctors being ill. That happens. They're around sick people. Mm. I don't know where you live. There's going to be weather there, no matter what. No matter where you go. You and I, Dave, you went to one of my appointments and it was snowing the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
It was a whiteout.
Well, exactly. It was a whiteout.
I mean, it was a freaking whiteout for 20 minutes of that drive.
So, at least. These kind of things happen. There's nothing paranormal about them. You just have yourself looking for all of these bad things.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I don't think the Wiccan spell did anything to you, especially if you did it wrong.
And Wiccan spells don't conjure demons, like black magic, dark witchcraft gathers demons. Wiccan is earth magic, which is white magic. It's Mother Nature magic.
You can't do a spell for protection or for good luck, and then you do it wrong, you get a demon. Like, that's not the trade-off there.
You miss one word. Boom. There you go.
Demon.
Demon.
So I don't want to say just relax, because I agree with Dave. I think this is something that you can change for yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to your priest, if that helps you.
Right.
It's just one of those things of whatever makes you feel positive.
Right.
That's the thing here. Like, you don't need a deliverance. No. I don't even think you need medication, although maybe you do if that gets you on the right track.
Yeah, to start you off, right?
Exactly. I think you can turn this around for yourself. I am sorry that all of these bad things have happened to you. That sounds terrible. But I too have been multiple times in my life where I'm like, there's got to be something wrong. I have literally asked Cena, is there something attached to me?
Oh, because I've asked her the same question.
Exactly. Yeah. And the answer is no. You're just going through.
You're fine. Yeah. She's just a down curve.
Yeah. You just have a small bout of bad karma. Yep. That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
And moving on. And after a while, it turned around and good things started to happen. You just need to be patient. You just need to be positive. And that sort of thing will turn around. But the more you focus on every negative thing that happens to you, the worse it's going to get. And unfortunately, you probably are passing a little bit of that on to your friends and your boyfriend.
And your friend and your circle of friends is not helping the situation, I'm sure, because they're constantly reminding you of all the negative shit.
Yeah. Like, if every time you see, they see you, they're like, so what have you broken this time?
Yeah.
Or,
what happened? What bad happened to you today? Because it's their soap opera, right? And then you express all the negative stuff. You're just compounding the pile of crap.
Yeah. You're reinforcing
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So here's a great little quick tip before we move on. There's an old method that's been around since Ben Franklin. That's called the Ben Franklin method, or T-square method. So my advice to this person would be you grab a legal pad, you draw a line across the top, you draw a line down. Basically, it looks like a cross. On your left-hand side, you write negative. On your right-hand side, you write positive. If you really want to see how bad your day is, write down everything that happens throughout your day that's negative. But you can't do that without filling in the other side. So on the right-hand side, fill out every single thing that happened to your day, during your day that's positive. And at the end of the day, take a look at the list. It works for so many things. I have shared that with so many people, and they're like, dude, that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's so simple to do, but nobody ever takes the time to do it. And I will guarantee you that every day of your life is not 48 negative and 2 positive. And if it is, get into the shrink before something bad happens in your life, because you're going down the sand pit, like Mike said. You're in the quicksand, and for some reason you can't get out, and you need help.
When you were talking about that, I had this flash in my head of the negative and the positive, and on the positive writing, I woke up today.
I'm alive today. Yeah, that's positive.
And then I just had where
eat on my pillow. That's a negative. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, so.
But it was just like, and you have a kind of a bad day, and there at the bottom of the negative is, I woke up today.
And it could be. It could shift sides. You never know. I mean, right? It could. There could be those days. There's been days when I'm like, why did I even get up today? I've said it to myself at the end of the day. I've been like, why did I even get up today?
Yeah, this hasn't happened in quite a long time for me, but I have literally gone to bed early because I was tired of being awake.
Yeah. Yeah. It hasn't happened to me for a while either, but it has happened to me. I've been like, you know what? I have had enough of today. Goodbye. I'm turning today off. We'll see you tomorrow. And just grab my pillow, get comfortable, and cash in my chips for that day. Because that day just wasn't going anywhere productive.
All righty. So we're going to go into our topic for tonight.
We got to start doing our break again.
Why?
Well, because I need to stretch.
Oh, well,
we had to, that pee break was nice. Not that I have to pee, but I'm just saying, that little clip in the middle. I like that. So it gave us time, I could get up and walk around.
Well, I mean, if you want me to, it's a minute long. I could play the Odyssey Hour intro that has where I rickrolled everybody.
Sure,
That was
go
fun.
ahead. Yeah. Throw that up there so I can get up and walk around the room without like.
Well, you only have
on camera.
You only have a minute.
That's fine. A minute's enough for me to stretch.
All right, everybody. So you're going to enjoy this.
Plus, I'm going to get some more water.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So obviously, this is my paranormal team. You're only going to hear music when you're listening to the audio, but if you're doing the video, you'll enjoy this nice rickroll that I did to everybody as a surprise.
Strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Afraid of no ghosts.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
Oh man, I love that. Oh man. All right, we're back.
I missed it, but I got stretched and I got my water, so I'm good.
Maybe I should play it again. Just kidding. I just hear.
You can show it to me off air. I heard some of the music.
I just hear the entire crowd of people listening to the show screaming no.
Turning off.
No.
Turning it off. Jesus, these guys they've tanked.
No way. In fact, I think that was just the most entertaining thing we've ever done.
I am not putting my thumb stamp on that, but
well, you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it. You're right. I haven't seen it. So
anyways, all right. Speaking of things that don't make any sense, let's talk about Area 51.
Let's move on to Area 51.
So the first thing that I want, because I know that you wanted, I want to make sure we get to this because I know it's really important to you.
Yes.
And that is the reaction to obviously this was a couple years ago now, or at least a year ago.
Woodstock outside the gates of 51.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, back, I don't know what, year and a half ago, 2 years ago now.
A couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. It flooded social media that they were going to storm Area 51. They wanted to find out exactly what was going on there, and nothing was going to stop them.
Yeah, damn it, we deserve to know.
Yeah. So meet at this date outside the gates, and we're all going to go in. They can't stop all of us.
Yeah, they can.
With that said, we both had our own individual reactions. Why don't you go first?
Sure, absolutely. So this is what I said, and I still feel it to this day. You know, everybody's like, yeah, man, we get 100,000 strong. We're going to bust through that barrier. They ain't going to be able to take all of us out. I can tell you this for a fact. The first 20 people that get mowed down with an M16 that step over the property line, the other 900 and some thousand people are going to stop dead in their tracks. And they're going to be like, yeah, F this, man. That was a bad idea. We're going back to the party over here on the county land, and we're sorry that we're sorry. It was that dude's idea. He got us all excited. It was that dude. Right there, the dead guy right there. He was an ass. He got us all ramped up. And he got what he deserved, man. I'm going back over here with my alien ET.
I love the military.
I love America, man. I don't want to know anything about Area 51. That is exactly what would have happened. Exactly. You start mowing people down in public, which they have the right to do because there's a big ass sign right there. It says, if you step over this line, we will shoot you. That's what it says. If you don't believe it, you go ahead and step over that line and see what the hell happens to you. I think that the whole crowd would have dispersed right back to where they were and sit back at their RVs going, man, sucks to be that dude. as they were carrying the bodies off and throwing them in the back of a Jeep. That's what I think would have happened. And I think it would have been fitting, and not to sound like an ass, but that's my feelings. It would have been fitting because you don't deserve to be there. Right? We don't always get to go everywhere. I've been the one asking for longer than this idiot threw it on social media. I've been asking to be privy to all of the documents and all of the shit that's been going on. And I can handle it.
I'm sure you
people
can.
are like, you couldn't handle it. No, I can handle it.
I have no doubt. The only thing is they don't care whether you can handle it or not.
I know. They ain't gonna tell me.
Yeah, they're never.
But I've been asking to know all of the shit that I want to know for a long time, but it's never gonna happen unless I disappear someday. So if I just disappear out of the blue, you know what? I got chosen.
You got chosen.
I got the answers, and I'm in some underground facility in Utah.
Imagine you chose that place. So yeah, mine was, it's never going to happen. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And if they even try, they're all going to get killed. And you look at, because there have been some guards who have been given permission to speak, a little bit here and there about their time in Area 51, and every single one of them would be like, I have been given full permission to shoot.
Right. Kill orders.
Kill orders. Yeah. They'll give you a warning. They'll be like, you need to leave, and they might give you 2 or 3, but if you don't listen, you're going to die.
If you've ever seen any of the videos where the people actually not break the gates, but drive up the roads that run parallel, the white pickup truck is right there waiting for them, man.
Yeah.
You guys that get out are pretty physically imposing, and they're both armed to the teeth, and they will stop. And you can watch the videos. They stop people and ask them, what are you doing here? You're right. And that's not even the ground. That's not even the shit that's posted no trespassing. That's just a road that runs alongside of it. Right? What are you doing here? What's your purpose going down this road? And then they'll actually bring you up and actually go, they don't arrest you, but they go through the actions and the process of if they were going to arrest you.
Yeah. They
and it's going on your way, scared shitless.
What brought this topic on, the reason why I wanted to do it is I was surfing Disney Plus one night looking for
me you saw a cool documentary.
Yeah, there was a documentary that was done about the what has been released in 2013 about all of the projects and stuff that they were doing in Area 51. And one of the first scenes that they talk about is the road leading up to Area 51. Mm-hmm. And there's no gates, there's no fences, there's no nothing. Mm-hmm. It's just a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, but they have electronic posts. They know there's a
seismograph meter, basically.
I don't know if it's even a seismograph, but they know that let's just say there's posts on each side and there's an electric beam across it.
Yeah. So
they know where you are.
Yeah.
And they know how far away you are.
Yeah.
And if you're headed towards, if you stop, and you were absolutely right. That white pickup is right there watching you the entire time.
The entire time. You can see the dude up there with those pro-grade binocs about yay long, just watching.
Yep. Yeah. And you're not even able to fly over it with an airplane.
No.
There is
closed airspace.
There is a it's 45 square miles or something like that of airspace around Area 51 that is a no-fly zone.
Fly zone.
They actually had it as part of the documentary where they had a person flying there, and people came over the radio you were about to enter a no-fly zone. Please deviate,
right.
For your flight plan.
Right.
And they will give you a few warnings. Then they're going to scramble the jets.
Right. And they do.
Oh, they will.
They'll shoot your ass down too.
There's no bluffing
in
Area 51.
No.
So I thought that after watching that it was, I guess, important to separate what I think now, anyway, kind of the myth and legend of Area 51 and the conspiracy theories behind it to what, I guess, documentation is actually showing that happened there. And I can see now why it was such a secret facility. and why they wanted to do this. And so obviously, the history of Area 51. I didn't even know until I saw this documentary why they called it Area 51. I just thought maybe that was a cool name that they chose. And that's not the case. It's simply the area on the map. Like the grid pattern on the map, it's on Area 51.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is why what you said earlier about Area 52,
which is just north of Area 51.
51, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So not the government is not as creative as we might give them credit for. In fact, one of the things that I wrote down here was all of the project names. And I have no idea who comes up with these project names. And like Dave, you and I did, Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
Which really meant nothing. Like it had nothing to do with nothing about what they were actually doing.
Right.
So Area 51 obviously was created in 1955. So by Dwight D. Eisenhower. And obviously the conspiracy theory is going to be like this, happened after Roswell. That's where they moved the aliens to, blah, 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 blah. But it was actually the U-2 project, which was a high altitude surveillance reconnaissance plane that they wanted to create in secret so that the Russians would not know what they were doing. And they called that project Aquaton. Now, aqua means water. But,
right.
And I'm like, it has nothing to do, obviously, with like, as soon as I said project, you think, oh, this is a secret submarine.
Right.
No, high altitude reconnaissance plane.
The only thing I can think of is that Groom Lake is there, which is the dry.
It's the salt
bed.
Salt lake or whatever.
Right.
You call
it. Which is all dried out. So I mean, maybe I know that's a stretch, but maybe that, like somebody was like, "Whoa, if there was a lake here," I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But they have. Like seriously, we'll get into this maybe a little bit later, but there was another project that did years later where they tried, they got a Soviet MiG, I believe it was an Iranian pilot, defected and brought the plane to the United States. So they wanted to reverse engineer. They wanted to find out how it ticked, why it was so good. Mm-hmm. They called that Project Have Donut. I don't know. Like that to me would be what you would name the gopher person to go out and get you your Dunkin' Donuts order.
Correct.
Like,
that's what I would say too.
Like, let's initiate Project Have Donut. Get on it. Like that's your mission.
Right.
But obviously, after they started this, the word about UFOs surrounding Area 51 started popping up. And I think that is, again, one of the things that is happening now, especially with the Tic Tac.
Right.
And because they're coming up with all of these different designs and all these planes who can do things that at that particular moment in time was unheard of. They talked about the U-2 and how it, like normal passenger airlines at that point in time would only go up to about 25,000 feet. And the military had no planes that would go up to 45,000 feet. Nope. But they were starting to see this U-2, which they had never seen before, going 60,000 feet and above.
That's when the guys had to wear the spacesuits because there's no oxygen up there. So the guys that were actually flying those actually had on like suits that you would wear if you were an astronaut flying this plane, because it was number one, it was like below zero. Number one, I think I forget what the temperature is that high, but it's astronomically cold. And number two, there's no oxygen at 60,000 feet. So,
right.
Yeah. So they have these Encompass suits that they wear.
They call them G-force suits now, I believe.
Okay.
Because obviously the more G's you go, the more likely you are to pass out, which is very bad if you're flying an airplane at 60,000 feet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what these suits would do is they would squeeze your muscles and squeeze your legs to push the blood back up.
Yeah, to your brain so you don't black out.
Yep. So you don't black out. And, but I mean, like that makes perfect sense because even now, because we know full well whether it's from the discovery or the release, whatever the CIA called it when they released all the UFO things, but our conversations with one of our guests, we know that the Tic Tac is man-made,
Right.
but
Or at least that there were plans that appeared right.
So I mean,
I don't know that I'm 100% behind the fact it was man-made. I think that it could be reverse engineered off of something. I guess that would still keep it in the context of man-made. I don't necessarily think we created it, and I certainly don't think it's manned. Because, like the pilot said, you'd be jello inside of it. There's no human could be inside of that at the G's it was turning.
But we don't know. Maybe we've gotten over that.
And maybe there is some sort of suit that you can pull negative 15 G's or negative 25 G's now without turning into jello. Because I mean, for people who don't know, like that's the limitation of fighter planes is G-force. That's the limitation. The airplanes themselves can handle more than the human body can handle, but the human body can only take so many G-forces.
Yeah.
And that's what limits the airplane's abilities is the human factor of being a pilot.
This is a small little bit off topic, but it goes right along with the G-force thing. But one of the funniest things that I've ever read that deals with like Christmas time was like some physicist or whatever went over like everything that would have to happen in order for Santa to be able to deliver presents.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And, because
Yeah.
this, you would have to do this in like, 0.38 seconds and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And, but I've seen that one, but the one that I saw was an email chain and it said at the end, so congratulations, kids, Santa's dead. But yeah, anyways, so getting back, so I mean, you and I still scoff at this. I can't believe that it came out of his mouth. Ozzy Osbourne probably said it perfectly. He says, everything that we know that comes out today has been around for 30 years.
Yep.
And I'm going to say with somewhat safe, assumption that in 10, 15 years, the Tic Tac is going to be a normal thing for us.
Maybe it's like maybe it's something like your first flying car, but not a car, but like your first testing ground for what could be a flying capsule to transport humankind,
right?
Humanity.
Perhaps. I just watched, I know it's a movie, but we both know that there are certain truths in the movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I just watched Godzilla versus Kong the other day, and I'm not saying Godzilla and Kong are real, but they had the tubes, obviously, with those huge, almost looked like a Tic Tac type thing that shot straight to Tokyo in, a matter of like an hour and a half.
Right.
It's going 700 miles underground, through these tubes that, they had built. I would not find it at all surprising at all if every single one of our military bases, whether it be in Ohio, whether it be in Nevada, are somehow connected underground.
Oh, I don't know that they're connected, let's say nationwide. I definitely think they're connected in regions.
Probably.
Like, I think the whole thing with the New Mexico, wow, what the hell's the name of that city? Starts with a T, Taos, New Mexico, where people hear the drumming underground and it's got that certain sonic vibration that drives some people insane or they get sick and get nauseous and they have to leave. Yeah, the hum. Like, they can't be there. Something's going on underground there, right? So is that machinery digging 10 miles under the city, whatever, 5 miles? I don't know how deep you have to go to be safe so the city doesn't fall in on you. I'm not a structural engineer, but however deep you have to be so that the city doesn't collapse the tunnel, the way to the city, is that what people are hearing? Are they slowly sending these giant rock grading bulldozer type machines through, creating these huge tunnels underground to connect to Air Force bases? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, we learned, and I kind of had always assumed this, but we learned with Dana on there about the whole underground system under, like, from the Pentagon to the White House to the Senate House to the, that they never go above ground, that they're always cruising around underground on their own private railway. Which I kind of knew, I kind of assumed that, right? Because obviously they're not always above ground in cars, in traffic. It's just too easy of a target if somebody wanted to come after them. But I guess I really never thought about having their own private subway down there.
Never know.
But obviously they do.
So, I mean, once the U-2 obviously was developed and tested, and it had all of the, these are now UFOs and stuff like that, they actually moved on to another project, which
to
we
a
all
real UFO.
This next one, it was called the 812 originally, but everybody now knows that this plane, the SR-71 Blackbird.
Yep.
Which again called Project Oxcart. No idea, no rhyme or reason. But
thing was a beast. It was a beast of a plane.
It really was, and it still is. I mean, I think they still use it, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do. Do they? I don't know, but if they do, I'm sure that they have perfected it to the point where it still flies above radar.
Yeah,
and that was the whole concept of that plane.
Yeah,
how high do we got to get so that we can fly wherever we want to, completely undetected, like a fly on the wall?
Right,
and that's what the Blackbird was.
Yeah, and they spent a lot of money, and a lot of people don't know that was developed and tested at Area 51.
Right.
And so then, after that, that is also where the stealth bomber, which
I was going to say stealth fighters, 1981.
Yeah.
Which, God, I can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah. But all of the stealth technology and everything that goes on the stealth bomber now was all developed and tested at Area 51.
At Area 51, right.
And, but nobody pays any attention to that because it's aliens. That's the only thing that is there. So, I mean, I know we have to talk about this because it's a huge part of the lore, and that is Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And
who went public, obviously, and said that he had been witness to the medical exam had photographic evidence and been there to the medical exam of alien bodies.
No, not only that, but I think he also talked about
reverse engineering.
The reverse engineering. Yep. So here's my question to you, because I always took that as, the quote unquote whistleblower,
right?
Bob Lazar. So when I went to look up exactly like who he was and what he had said, I kind of find out like almost all of his things have been like debunked. He's never shown any proof. He's been like arrested for like being part of like a prostitution ring, and like he really just seems to be and again, you don't know what is fact and what isn't.
Right.
But it really seems like he's just a big con artist.
Or is he?
Exactly.
Right.
You never know.
Or is that the great jobs that we know that the people's, that's their only job, is to create defamation campaigns for the government. We know that. And these guys are really good at what they do. So instead of taking out Bob Lazar, as in killing him, right, to silence him, because that's what they do, or at least they did, right? If they wanted to silence you and they didn't know how else to do it, you just accidentally passed away, right? You woke up foaming at the mouth and then you were dead. So if that way of doing business is no longer acceptable to the powers that be, and that's possible, right? They're like, you know what? We don't have to kill him because nobody's going to listen to him if he's a babbling buffoon with this track record of crap behind him that totally discredits every aspect of his life. And that's exactly what they do now. That's what they do. They turn the tables and destroy people's lives. It's the same thing that happened to the lady that was the senator. I think she was the senator from Arizona when the big UFO went over Phoenix, the Phoenix Lights one. And she kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And they said, back off. And she's like, I want to know what's happening here. And they're like, back off. And she's like, well, I'm not going to back off. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. She is totally ruined. Doesn't have she can't even live in a mobile home somewhere. They won't accept her application. Seriously. She's destroyed.
As Chris Rock says, they won't even accept my cash.
No, she is banned. She's blackballed from everything, everywhere, every aspect of her life. Nothing can she do. No credit. No bank will accept an account for her. I mean, it sounds ridiculous that stuff like that happens. That shit happens more than people know. And that's a perfect example. That was just because she wanted to dig a little deeper into what the Phoenix Lights were.
So I mean,
that's not as big as Area 51, obviously.
You're at an impasse here because
Who do you believe?
Because it's one of those. If I wanted to take, because he came out obviously years after, Area 51 was there, the UFOs. So I mean, if he's like, I can really become popular and I can make money off this and I can really sell this.
Right.
How are they going to prove otherwise? It's a secret facility. So you make up whatever you want because that's all you have to do. You just have to come up with some humongous story. And then the more that they tear you down and point out that this, you weren't here, you're not this,
right.
This was a lie. All you have to say is, they're blackballing me. They're making all this up. They're making me go away. They're deleting this. That's all you have to say.
Right.
And whether it's true or not, the only thing you have to be is confident. That's it.
I would agree with you.
You put the idea out there and you can't stop it.
Right. It becomes its own identity. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think the fact that, Bob Lazar now he is an owner of like a scientific equipment and supplies thing, which is now already again, like under federal indictment for, I don't think it's embezzlement, but I think it's like, and it's one of those things like, it's like damage done. They don't need to still go after him. So, I mean, it's one of those like,
they're just not going to let him go.
Either that,
they're not going to let him go.
Either that, or maybe he's just really not a very good person, and he's just looking for that thing. But I mean, he put that out there. I mean, they're even calling like the fact that he's not actually a physicist, but he's a self-proclaimed physicist, and I could do that too. I'm a self-proclaimed rocket scientist.
Right.
I worked at NASA. Prove me wrong. Oh, you didn't find any files? You obviously deleted them.
That's because I worked in a division that doesn't keep records.
Exactly. And nobody be able to tell you differently.
That's correct. Nobody would. Because anybody who's in that type of programs knows that there are a certain percentage of people who don't have employee files. And that really is the case. I would imagine the people at Area 51 don't have employee files.
Well,
right? They get bussed in. They're blindfolded. They get bussed into work. They get off the bus. They go do their jobs. They get blindfolded. They get bussed back to the bus depot where their cars are. That is how you go to work every day. Now tell me that ain't some shit.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, it was. It was.
It?
Now, whether it's changed or not, it was. Yeah.
Well,
because some of the people who were employees there had come out and even whatchamacallit, that basically said this is what, we get blindfolded or hooded when we go to work. We sit on the bus. It's about a 20-minute bus ride, and you can feel, up and down. Now, and that goes to the whole thing is Groom Lake just a platform? Is it just like a hologram? Because supposedly it opens.
Well, I think now it probably does. I think.
Right. I mean, supposedly it's just got this metal structure and it's this fake lake on top, and it just opens, and you drive into it, and then it closes. And there have been witnesses before they closed the mountaintops, when you used to be able to get the like super huge camera, lenses, that people witnessed vehicles, what they said, literally disappeared into the ground. Like, we're watching it. Where the hell did it go? Right? It literally disappeared into the ground. It's no longer there. And if they're still up, there's videos of that you can watch too.
Even though they're actually even still today expanding Area 51, like they're still building new buildings up on top. I think a lot of what is going on at UFO Area 51
is below.
I definitely think that they have put in, a way for people to drive underneath, because that's the technology we have now. I don't think that was there, obviously, at the beginning back in 1955.
No.
But now it is definitely technology that we have, and we have the necessary know-how to do it.
Well, let me ask you this before we move any further. What do you think of the concept of the whole UFO thing was the smokescreen story in and of itself to divert people away from the fact that they were building machines of destruction there, like the stealth bomber and all these other fighters that because that theory's out there, right? That the whole UFO story was made, that's the smokescreen. That's the story. It's not the other way around. It's not Area 51 is a UFO hibernation chamber, and look what else we're doing. It's don't look at what we're doing. Look at this UFO story. Right? So I found that interesting. I found that when I was reading on that, I found that very, very interesting. I'm like, well, what if those guys were that smart back then, that they're like, we should really create a bunch of like publicity about this.
There's two movies. I've been on a movie kick, obviously, tonight. There's two movies where sayings come to mind in this. One of them is National Treasure, where the father of Nick Cage's character, his idea about what the treasure was a story that was made up to keep the British busy looking for buried treasure, while obviously the Continentals or whatever, the U.S. Well, that wasn't the U.S. at that time, but
right.
the colonials did their thing.
Right.
And then the other one comes from Independence Day, which is obviously an alien movie. And the lady from the White House, like Constance, I believe is what her name was in the movie, worked for the president, and somebody had told her about what the press was making up. And her reaction was, let them run with it if they want to make fools of themselves. I honestly think that they were probably that clever. I think that the U.S. military don't give a crap about what people think about conspiracy theories, as long as they don't find out what is really going on.
Right.
I think they're probably happier than a pig in shit to be like, oh, let them search the skies for UFOs.
Right.
They're never going to find out what we're doing,
right?
Because they're going to be looking over here.
They're going to be looking over here for UFOs when we're over here, right?
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
I think that that's amazing. I mean, you and I both know about the whole backup story that they wanted to do about the fake alien invasion.
Oh, absolutely.
About and then what they were really trying to do. I definitely think that smoke and mirrors is a huge way the military works when it comes to their classified and top secret information.
I would agree with you 100% on that.
In fact, part of the documentary was these, and I laughed. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe that they did that. But the documents and stuff that came about, like the MiGs and about all these projects, was so classified, they wouldn't actually stamp top secret or classified information on the documents. Because if they did, and somebody, took it out of their briefcase outside and it flew away, if they saw top secret or classified on it, they would definitely open it up and they would look at everything. But if
Right.
none of the documents actually said that, they would just toss them as being irrelevant.
Right.
They hid everything right in plain sight. And it was probably like the most, important documents the military had.
I would agree with you. I agree. And that's the problem, that people aren't doing their due diligence, right? If you're going to really dig for documents, you really need to look at every single document. I know that, God, it's going to just suck to just sit there and read through just crap, right? But everything that you can get from the Freedom from Information Act, and I shouldn't say everything because that's all inclusive. A vast majority of everything you can get from the Freedom of Information Act is so redacted that there's just nothing there. Like, people that are experts at documentation, saving and recreating and stuff like that have gotten those documents, and it's their job. Their job is to recreate documents or to preserve documents. And they've gotten them, and they're like, these things are so redacted out that there's just some of them. There's just like the letter A and then the word "the" at the bottom, and that's it. Everything else is redacted, which is just ridiculous. So why not look at stuff that isn't redacted for clues, or for, in your example, complete disclosure? What if there were complete disclosures? What if they were just sending documents to each other and they used a code name? Medical Professional Jones, right? Sergeant Dillaway. I mean, who knows, right? But that was their internal code word. We would never know that. If we were document searching, we wouldn't know that Sergeant Dillaway meant, UFO Area 51 UFO information enclosed. But if you were in the inner circle, you would. And so when you got Sergeant Dillaway email, you'd be like, okay, you knew what it was if you were in the loop, and you would react accordingly. That makes more sense to me.
Back in the U2 and the SR-71 days, they did. Even the pilots to themselves had pseudonames. Nobody used the real names. Nobody used they didn't even call it the A-12. They called it some other freaking name, Apple Bob or something like that. That's not what they called it, but I'm just saying is that, like, the pilots, the aircraft, everything had pseudonames. They would, even with each other, nobody knew who you really were. Nobody knew who you really were.
Right.
And
I'm Popeye, you're Captain Crunch.
They didn't go like that.
No, but you never know, right? I mean, they came up with something, right?
Yes, but yeah, like if your name was Anthony Thomas or something like that, your name would now be Bob Johnson,
right?
Whatever it was,
Dave Smith,
exactly,
yeah.
And
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
But
one of my all-time favorite movies.
I agree. Never mind. We don't need to get into it. So, all right. So, I mean, honestly, after seeing like that documentary, and after, and knowing that they came out with all of these documents in 2013, which documented all these things. I mean, I honestly, I see the secret, like the reason for the secrecy of Area 51, even today. I mean, that is where they are creating things like the Tic Tac or, laser weapons, that sort of thing. I would shoot people too if they tried to find out. But that doesn't mean that there's aliens involved. Could there be? Absolutely. Is there? I just want to say yes, but
there's a thing to be said about reverse engineering. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have some really intelligent people that said we should build a really streamlined plane and came up with the stealth fighter and the stealth bomber. I'm not saying that that's not possible. But I am saying it's more likely that some of that design came from kind of alien technology.
And it very well could be. Whether the designers knew it or not.
Right.
I mean, even that could go above their head. I mean, the documentary talked about how compartmentalized.
Right. They never talked to
everything
each
was.
other.
No.
Right. So like if you and I were on, team A, we would build, let's just say we built a circuit board. That was our job. Or or we built this enclosure, right? That was our job. And then team A handed it to team B. We never knew what the hell team B did with our enclosure that we built. All we knew is that we had to build an enclosure with a circuit board in it.
Yep.
That's it. We didn't know what the end project was. We didn't know what team B was going to do with it. We didn't know what team C was going to do with team B's and team A's work, right? And down the line and down the line, down the line. And when team Z was standing there ready to put the final thing together, they had no idea where all the parts came from. And they still didn't even know what the final build was. I'm sure there was a select group that probably knew all of it, but you're right. The compartmentalization had to just been incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah. So we're going to go over by a few minutes because I want to hear.
Yeah, we're not even going to get to 52 today.
I want to hear about Area 52 right now.
There's too much. We ain't going to get into 50. Well, let's do 52 next week. Might as well stay on the same topic.
Okay, next week, Area 52.
Yeah, we'll do 52 because there's more than enough stuff on 52 to talk about.
And that will give me enough time to actually look up Area 52 because tonight during the show was the first time I've ever heard about Area 52.
Yeah, it's called Dugway. It's up in Tonopah.
Tonopah.
The interesting thing that grabs me that I was going to talk about tonight, and I'll throw this out there as kind of a teaser, is in Tonopah, which I was actually going to Tonopah when I was going to go to Vegas last time, because it's not that far from Vegas, is you've got the old Tonopah Cemetery, which has been documented as incredibly haunted. You've got the Clown Motel.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Mizpah Hotel. You've got the mining parks. I don't remember if Silver Dust or Silver Leaf is there, but it's one of the big ones that's been on everybody's bucket list, that everybody's gone and filmed at, that has had a ton of activity, that everybody's documented. That one of those is in Tonopah. And then you got one other place now and it escapes me, but you've got this weird eclectic mix of paranormal activity going on in Tonopah. And Area 52 Dugway is in Tonopah. It's in the surrounding location. So my question is, and what we're going to kind of dive into next week, is there a correlation between the government's, what they're doing in Area 52, and could it be attracting and or stirring up paranormal activity in the area?
Or could people be mistaking what the government is doing in Tonopah as paranormal activity?
Or could that be the case? Or could the paranormal activity had been there and that's what drew the government there?
I would be hard pressed to go that far.
But you never know.
But
we're going to find out
because
we're going to have answers for those questions next week.
Yes, we will. Come here to find out everything you want to know about Tonopah and Area 52 right here next week.
Yep.
All right. Well, that does it for us here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed our discussion about Area 51 and that maybe it made you think that whatever it is you want to think.
It's been a smokescreen since day one.
It could have been.
Right? The whole UFO story was just that, a UFO story. And it was just a smokescreen to cover up the military presence there that was actually building weapons of mass destruction and preserving our freedom. I don't want to exclude that because some of those machines that were built there were pivotal in securing our borders and our safety for America.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form. That there was a lot of important shit going on there. So, and there still is today. I agree with you. I still think I would imagine when that sucker opens, man, like if Groom Lake really opens like I think it does, I would imagine if you look down in there, I'm not going to say it's like LA or New York or Chicago, but I might throw a Houston or an Austin in there, or a Des Moines, right? I mean, I think it's an underground city. maybe Champaign, Illinois. I mean,
I was gonna
it's
say,
big. It's a big city, but it's just not quite a mega city. But I think there's probably, I think we would shit our pants if we saw the underground structure. And I think people live there. I think that it's completely self-sufficient.
I would say I wouldn't say Houston, because Houston is literally the 4th largest city in the United
Okay,
States.
all right, sorry, Austin, Champaign,
Champaign might be good.
Indianapolis, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Big city, but not mega city.
Maybe. So yeah. So anyway, that does it here for us this week. Tune in obviously next week. We'll have all the answers about Area 52. And then the week after that, Area 53. Just kidding. There's no Area 53.
Yeah.
But if you guys would like to send us a paranormal story or a paranormal question, you can do so at OdysseyFilesRadio@gmail.com. Or you can send us a direct message on any of our social media, whether it be YouTube or whether it be Facebook, Odyssey Files Radio Show. And you could be on our show next week or the week after, but we will definitely make sure to get to your question.
Absolutely.
So until next week, everybody stay healthy, stay safe,